Gentlemen, thank you for sitting down with us today. So Isaac, tell me, when you learned that the 50 Cent and Hank, two great creatives, would be bringing your life story to an ABC drama, tell me like the first thing that went through your head.
Well, I mean, when I knew that I was going to be sitting with 50, because I actually sat with 50 first,
Okay.
I knew that if that there was someone that would be interested or that was interested, that was capable. I mean, Power was the #1 show at the time. It's what it is now, but you know, he was at the top of his game in terms of TV shows.
Right.
You know, he'd already been a very successful entertainer and businessman, and so he had all the makings of a person that I knew. If anyone can do it, he could. But you know, my experiences has always been meet a man face to face to get a chance to assess him, you know, eye to eye.
Okay.
And that's what I did. When we sat down, you know, I was studying him. I'm sure he was studying me, you know, but I was definitely sizing him up. And some of the things he did was, some of the things he said was very important to me. I mean, I was thinking about the movie thing, and he was, you know, it was his idea. The series was his idea. And you know, there was another guy, and I know he can get more in detail with this, that actually set this thing up. He paid him out. I mean, Hank's not even involved. There's no real idea yet, you know. But his vision was so sharp and so ahead of things that I knew that I can roll the dice and turn my back, and so, you know, and I was right.
Yeah, I was right too. See, I paid him. I took care of him because he brought it, he introduced it to me. But I know what I could do with it, and then just putting together the right group of people to bring it together with Doug, you know, Robinson and Allison Greenspan, and then we bring Hank into the play, and then we get Hank there and insert all the information. Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, I've given it 2 seasons. By 2 seasons, second season, I'll be the #1 show on ABC.
Okay.
You can hear me say it now. I may be first season. You know.
I think it's the first
Give me a
season.
second, you know.
I think it's the first season.
Yeah, I think it's the first season.
So Hank, tell me about working with these two right here.
Well, when I first heard the idea, you know, I was looking to do something that had some meat to it and had something to say about something that was happening in our culture, in our society, and I've always been very interested in civil rights and civil rights reform, and yeah, I've done stuff on the Kennedys in the past, and it was something that I felt close to, and so when this hit my desk and I heard the story, I thought there's got to be a way to do that, and it's a tricky one, because do you set it from the day he's arrested? Do you set it from later when he gets out of prison, or do you start in prison? How do you structure it? What's the engine of the show, and what's the architecture of it? And it took me a few months to figure that out, but when I sort of figured out that first 5 minutes, that opening of the first episode, of thinking he's a lawyer and then revealing that he's a prisoner and showing that duality, I said, okay, I got it, and I met with Isaac, and then I really got in tune with what is the nature of this character. How did he actually manage to pull this off? What is in his innate nature? And also, I mean, I learned a lot about prison. I had never been to prison before. And Isaac really explained to me the subcultures and the textures and the really interesting dynamic between the prisoner rep, who does have a lot of power within that place, because all the prisoners come to him and count on him to issue their complaints, how much power he has with the warden. And I thought that's a really interesting piece, and that's really a major component of what's driving the whole first season, is that dynamic between Aaron and the prison warden Sophia, who's played by Indira Varma, and that delicate quid pro quo relationship they have between this woman that wants to reform the system from within it, and has one hand tied behind her back because the system's been in place for so long, and how can someone with even the best intentions and the best beliefs change it?
Still fighting against the system.
And that interesting tension of them trusting each other, not trusting each other, Aaron having to do his own thing, and not tell her everything. And all of that richness I really got from understanding what it was like for Isaac.
Definitely.
So that was, really makes the show, I think, really textured.
It did. I mean, like you said, from the opening scenes to, we only saw the first few episodes, but it definitely kind of connected it all. So 50, tell me, the parallels between you and Isaac when you met him. I mean, if anyone embodies perseverance, I think it's you. Right. From Queens to, getting your star on the Walk of Fame, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me about the perseverance that you just wanted to put, once learning about Isaac's story, that you wanted to inject in this series.
Even the having the ability to commit to it financially right away is once I see I'm working on projects that I don't believe in, but once I believe in the project, I'm gonna work until I get it into the right position. Like I had my agents had brought me a project that was similar. It was called Con Law, but it wasn't true. It was just something that they made up, and it was an attempt to have the writer inject Isaac into that story so we could have a real character, but that didn't actually work out. And then I like to try and change the landscape of the project by bringing new energy in, and that's when I brought Doug and Allison in. And then we got Hank, and we started to build it from there, started to build it from there, and it was a fresh idea for Hank, for him to figure out which direction for it to go in and how it worked out. But it wouldn't have been this series at all.
Right.
It would have been something completely different. And I'm excited about it. Even George Tillman, I worked with George Tillman. He shot the second episode of Power.
Power.
Yeah, and I knew that he just, the hate you gave, the film, the feature film side, he was going to make a movie anyway, of it. And the first episode feels like, when I watched it in the theater recently, it belongs in the theater.
Yeah, George did such.
It was an amazing job.
I mean, he did such a brilliant job. George brought such heart to it and humanity to it, and he really understands the subject matter, and but he knows how to do it in a way where you're not lecturing to people, you're not preaching, but it connects emotionally, and that's what we want to do. We're exploring a difficult subject matter and one that has to be confronted, but we don't want people to feel like they're eating their vegetables. They're going to be entertained, and then they're going to think about it in ways that we challenge the audience, but not because we're yelling political speeches at them.
Right.
Yeah, and I believe, when you say perseverance, I think that when you have an idea or you're working at something, when you can become passionate about it, it can happen. It just has to take that extreme amount of discipline or extreme the work ethic to get you to that point. That's just what creates Floyd Mayweather Jr. from Big Floyd, or from Kobe Bryant from his dad, or from Venus and Serena from their dad, or from the Mannings from their dad. They can find the idea early enough to fall in love with it and work that hard to make themselves a success. But under circumstances where you've just been incarcerated, and the shock of that, and not having any references to someone else actually being able to achieve what you're trying to do, it was more significant to me, his story, because there was nothing to support it. Right. You gotta imagine finding something in a case that makes you enthusiastic about you being able to do what you set out to do, and you saying it to someone and them imagining that this is what happens when someone goes crazy. Because you believe in it, your passion, they can't comprehend why you're so passionate about it, or why you believe that small thing is going to be why it works, and then it has to happen for them to understand it. I see significance in it.
Absolutely. So Isaac, I mean, you persevered through so much, and we just talk about perseverance. So is there anything besides your family and wanting to get back to your life that was taken from you that really drove you to not only free yourself from prison, but also free others? If you had to pick one thing besides, family and just getting back to your lifestyle, what would you say that was?
Well,
Sex.
That's important.
I couldn't pass the opportunity.
that was a good one.
That was a good one. I mean, it's true. Let's keep it real.
I mean, when you're talking about both helping others and helping myself, when you kind of wind that up in a ball, and the answer would be based on an experience that I had while I was still inside. And it happened for the first time in prison when I was, actually serving the life sentence. And then, it continued to happen after that. But there was an incident, the very first incident it happened, I was in the library myself, and I was getting some books together to take up to the paralegal office and working on another guy's case, actually. And another inmate came up to me with some stuff he was doing to try to help himself in his case. And he asked me to read it. He asked me, what I thought about it. And I read it, and it was clear to me when I was reading it that he didn't know what he was doing. The tragic part of it, though, was that he didn't even know that he didn't know what he was doing. And so, I helped him, but there were many others that were doing that didn't know what they were doing, that I couldn't help. I was just one person. And so when I got out, there was this feeling that I'm leaving thousands of people behind, in that same situation that have no help, that are alone. And that was the single motivating factor for me to continue on, not only with developing the course of my own life after I got out, but to continue to help people who are in the same situations or who are threatened with the same situation.
Well, gentlemen, I think you created a masterpiece.
Yes.
I think the show is so timely, and it really kind of relates to what's going on today. So, 50, I saw a preview. I heard you getting your acting. I love the executive producer / actor, 50.
Yeah.
So, I'm really excited for what's to come.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.